Well, I work for the Lurgan Townscape Heritage Scheme, which is a regeneration scheme for Lurgan Town Centre, which is funded by the Armagh City, Banbridge, Craigavon Borough Council and the National Lottery Heritage Fund. And really it's a scheme that's all about restoring and repairing our heritage buildings within the Lurgan Conservation Area, which primarily comprises the town centre. 25 buildings were identified as priority projects, and we're standing here at the site of two of those properties, number 3 and number 5 Market Street. Now these properties, they were built in the early 1800s. They're typical of the market town architecture of Lurgan, which really gained Lurgan a reputation as one of the finest examples of provincial market town architecture in Ulster. The buildings were built using just locally made bricks, rubble, rendered, but also to add a little bit of decoration. You'll see mouldings on the front of them, and this sort of creates a sort of an air of prosperity. It sort of indicates a degree of pride that people had in the buildings and making sure the town centre looked well. The other thing that's actually interesting with these buildings is the length to which they extend down. And this really goes back to the plantation in Lurgan. When the settlers came, they were given plots of land which were about 100 feet wide to around about 650, 700 feet lengthwise. So you get these sort of narrow parcels of land extending right down. And there would have been archways and alleyways sort of allowing access to the buildings, which sort of cropped up. And these are still an intrinsic part of the streetscape of Lurgan. The tenants, which would have been in 3 to 5 Market Street, would have been typical that you'd find in Market Town. We had butchers like the Ruddles and Seatons. We had a cabinet maker, Frederick Watson, who worked in one of the outbuildings down here. But really 3 and 5 Market Street, to many people, will be associated with the Malcolmson funerary business. The Malcolmsons set up the funerary business in number 3 in 3 Market Street in about the 1800s or 1880s. And then they actually moved to number 5 Market Street in the 1930s. But the Malcolmsons' sort of near 130-year connection with 3 to 5 Market Street came to an end in 2008. But the Malcolmsons still are involved in the town up at Robert Street. Now, unfortunately, when you look, we only see 5 Market Street today. Number 3 was demolished in 2008. This was because it had fallen into a dangerous state of repair, and this unfortunately is what happens to many of our derelict buildings when people aren't looking after them and maintaining them. But through the Lurgan Townscape Heritage Scheme, we'll actually be rebuilding 3 Market Street as close to how it was when it stood there for so many years. And we're delighted to be joining with Conor Carey, a young property developer who's taken on this challenge.
My name is Conor Carey. I'm from the Lurgan area and I'm a developer. Started off in 2017. Got the opportunity, was at school, did a foundation degree in sustainable construction and got the opportunity to develop a site in Tamnamore, County Tyrone, and that's how one thing have led to another, and this is how we've ended up with this project here today. It actually came up in an auction, and just had seen the opportunity, an open site, and was looking maybe at an investment opportunity, so that's for it turned into 5 apartments and 2 commercial units. And considering Lurgan's a busy high street, up and down, I can see the potential for future development. No, I think the town will benefit a lot from it. Looking back at old images, that's for regauging. We're retaining mouldings, making mouldings, new mouldings for the new building. We're including side and sash windows, bang blue slates. Doors we're trying to replicate from old to new. We're just trying to bring the building back to its old former glory, and hopefully when it's all said and done, we'll have achieved that. And I think there used to be there'd been an undertaker here, dressmakers, publicans. That's just to name a few, but I think when this is all said and done, maybe we'll see this, instead of this being an eyesore, we'll see these people back in the high street again.
Townscape Heritage Scheme are delighted that this project is going forward. It represents a substantial investment of just over £1 million actually, which predominantly 60% of comes from the developer himself, with the National Lottery Heritage Fund and the Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council supporting the rest of the investment. It brings back living in the town centre, it brings economy into the town centre, and it also brings back the built heritage. with the three main objectives of our Townscape Heritage Scheme. It will heal a scar that has been in this main street for, as you can see behind me, for 15 years. So we're delighted that this project will bring much needed regeneration. The scheme, when finished, will have 2 shop fronts on the ground floor and we'll have 5 apartments above those shop fronts, and it will reinstate the streetscape as it once was.